Back from the dead, huh? Yeah, it looks like the Jonathan Kuminga trade rumors just won't stay buried. And now we've got a fresh wave of noise coming out of Sacramento. The Kings' buzz is real again. And this time, it's not just speculation. There's actual chatter from people plugged in on the Kings side of things, with Sacramento radio stirring the pot about a potential deal to bring Kuminga into their system. And whether you're a believer in the fit or not, it's hard to ignore the way this story keeps creeping back into the spotlight. Let's not get it twisted, though. The Golden State Warriors have not exactly been rolling out the red carpet for sign-and-trade talks. They've shut those doors more than once this offseason. But even with that wall up, teams haven't stopped sniffing around. Miami was interested. Chicago was reportedly in the mix. Phoenix made their calls. And the Kings, well, they've been persistent. Now we're hearing that Sacramento put together what many are calling the strongest offer on the table for Golden State to consider. And that offer? Malik Monk plus a protected first-round pick for Kuminga. Sounds simple enough, but of course there's more to it. The Warriors would likely have to toss in another player, probably someone like Buddy Hield or Moses Moody, to make the numbers work. But here's the real kicker. Between Phoenix and Sacramento, only one of those teams has both the assets and the willingness to pull the trigger on something meaningful. And it's not the Suns. From the Warriors' point of view, you've got to ask yourself what's more valuable. Holding on to a young, inconsistent forward who hasn't quite carved out a clear role after multiple seasons in Steve Kerr's system, or flipping him for a playoff-proven scorer and a future first. Kuminga's been the subject of internal debate in the Bay Area since day one. Raw talent, athleticism through the roof, but the question marks have always been about feel for the game, motor, and consistency on both ends of the floor. He's flashed serious upside, no doubt, but that upside comes with the kind of uncertainty that doesn't really fit with a team trying to squeeze one last title run out of their current core. And look, the Kings aren't just shooting in the dark here. According to Sacramento-based voices, the feeling is that Kuminga may be willing to bet on himself and sign the qualifying offer, a move that would turn him into an unrestricted free agent next summer. If that happens, the Warriors would be staring at the possibility of losing him for nothing. That's a dangerous game to play, especially with a guy whose trade value is still hovering at a respectable level. So what do? You take the best deal on the table, get back something that helps you now, and reset your rotation with more clarity. If that offer is really Malik Monk and a protected first, that's nothing to sneeze at. Monk is a legit scorer. He's still young, and he showed last season he can handle more on-ball responsibility than people expected. Post Aaron Fox, Monk stepped into point guard duties and didn't just survive. He thrived. He was dishing out 6 or 7 assists per night, proving he's not just a one-dimensional shooter. Sure, the three-point percentage dipped a bit last season, but the shot volume was there, the confidence never wavered, and we've seen him be a knockdown threat in better-spaced offenses. Golden State would give him just that. And if the Warriors can nudge that pick from protected to unprotected, that could be the swing factor. Because let's be real, there's no reason to get hung up on losing a guy like Buddy Hield in a deal like this. Buddy had his moments, sure. His Game 7 performance against Houston was massive. He brought veteran presence, locker room chemistry, and played better defense than people gave him credit for. But at this stage of the game, is Buddy Hield untouchable? No chance. Especially when you've got pieces like Moses Moody, Brandon Podziemski, and D'Anthony Melton filling out your guard and wing rotation. Golden State's backcourt wouldn't take a hit here. In fact, you could argue it gets more dynamic. Monk brings shot creation, spacing, and a bit more off-the-dribble juice than Hield. Melton adds versatility, defense, and another floor spacer. Steph remains Steph, and Moody continues to develop into the kind of do-it-all role player every contender needs. So what exactly are you clinging to with Buddy Hield in that context? He's a great teammate and a proven shooter, but he's also replaceable. Now let's bring it back to Kuminga, because this saga isn't just about trade packages. It's about fit, identity, and expectation. The truth is, Golden State and Jonathan Kuminga have never fully clicked. His tools are undeniable. He's strong, fast, explosive, and when locked in, he could be a matchup nightmare. But the Warriors' offense isn't about raw athleticism. It's about reads, movement, passing, spacing. And those things haven't come naturally to Kuminga. You can't be a championship team and still be guessing night to night whether a rotation player is going to bring the right energy or make the right decisions. That's where this disconnect lies. And don't be fooled by the defensive potential either. There's been a lot of talk about Kuminga being some kind of defensive ace, but the numbers just don't back that up. In fact, Golden State's own advanced metrics paint a pretty bleak picture. In playoff defensive box plus-minus, Kuminga was at the bottom of the team. The narrative that he was locking up Anthony Edwards is just that, a narrative. Edwards shot over 60% when guarded by Kuminga. And in isolation defense metrics from the regular season, Kuminga didn't even crack the top 5 defenders on his own team. So when you stack him up against a player like Malik Monk, a guy who already knows how to operate within a structured offense, who can shoot, create, and handle, and who doesn't think he's better than he is, you start to see the appeal. Monk fits. Kuminga still feels like a project. And if you're the Warriors, this might be your last real window with Steph, Draymond, and whatever's left of this core. You can't afford to keep waiting on a guy who hasn't figured it out yet. There's also the contract situation to consider. Sacramento reportedly offered Kuminga a 3-year deal worth around $63 million. Golden State's counter was 2 years at $45 million, but that second year was a team option, not guaranteed. From Kuminga's perspective, the Kings' offer gives more security and a bigger commitment. From the Warriors' perspective, they don't seem entirely convinced he's worth betting big on. And that hesitation is telling. If the franchise really believed in him as a future cornerstone, they wouldn't be playing hardball with offers like that. Meanwhile, Kuminga's agent, Aaron Turner, hasn't exactly helped the situation. He's been out here battling Twitter trolls, denying reports, and generally fanning the flames instead of cooling things down. That kind of behavior doesn't inspire confidence. This isn't some rookie agent. He's been around for over a decade, and yet he's letting the noise get to him. If the plan was to play hardball, float the qualifying offer, and drive up value, it's backfiring. Because what they're risking now is a scenario where Kuminga ends up taking that qualifying offer, makes under $8 million this season, and heads into next summer as an unrestricted free agent with a ton of question marks and no guaranteed money. And that's the core issue here. If Kuminga bets on himself and loses, if he gets hurt, if he underperforms, if he ends up in Steve Kerr's doghouse again, he could cost himself tens of millions of dollars. The qualifying offer route only makes sense if you're certain you'll boost your market value and land a big payday. But there's no precedent for that under Kerr, and no track record that says Kuminga can suddenly become a 20-point-per-game guy in a motion-heavy offense. So why risk it? That's why the smart money says a deal gets done. Whether it's Sacramento sweetening the offer by removing protections on the pick, or Golden State realizing the best return they'll get is right now, a trade feels inevitable. And if the Warriors can get Malik Monk, a guy who has already proven he could be a difference maker in the playoffs, plus a future first, they should pull the trigger. Because this thing with Kuminga, it's not going anywhere good. The vibes aren't right. The development curve has stalled. The fit is awkward. The contract talks are messy. And the front office seems more concerned about value than vision. At some point, you got to call it what it is, a failed experiment. That doesn't mean Kuminga won't become a good player somewhere else. He very well might. But it does mean the Warriors shouldn't be the ones waiting around to find out. So here we are again, back where it all started. Jonathan Kuminga on the trade block. Sacramento calling. And the clock ticking down on a franchise trying to write one last chapter before the book closes on the dynasty. Whether Joe Lacob wants to admit it or not, the best path forward might just be the one that leads straight through Malik Monk and a future first-round pick. And if the Kings are still at the table, the Warriors better not wait too long to deal. Because the longer they hold on, the more leverage they lose. If you take a step back and really look at the full picture, what you're seeing with this whole Kuminga situation is not just a trade rumor. It's a reflection of how fractured the vision is within Golden State right now. This team is caught between two timelines. On one side, you've got the aging core, Steph Curry still performing at an elite level, Draymond Green, who's more valuable defensively than people want to admit, and Klay Thompson now gone, whose absence already leaves a leadership and identity gap. On the other side, you've got this collection of young talent that was supposed to be the bridge to the next era. James Wiseman already flamed out. Jordan Poole's gone. And now Kuminga, the last big swing of that strategy, might be next out the door. This isn't just about swapping one player for another. This is about deciding who you are as a franchise moving forward. And that decision has consequences. Because when you're trying to chase rings, you don't have the luxury of waiting for someone to figure it out. That's the harsh truth. Kuminga has had flashes, big-time athleticism, high-level scoring bursts, moments where you see what scouts were raving about. But in the same breath, he disappears. The consistency isn't there. The feel isn't there. And the trust from Steve Kerr and the veterans, it just never fully formed. You can't keep playing the maybe next season game when your best player is in his mid-30s and still giving you MVP-caliber production. You got to surround him with guys who know who they are and who make winning plays every night. Malik Monk checks that box. He knows what he brings to the table. He's not out here trying to be the face of the franchise. He's not demanding a bigger role than he deserves. He just goes out, fills it up, makes plays, and brings energy every time he's on the floor. And for a team that struggled with offensive flow and spacing at times last year, Monk is exactly the type of player that can smooth out the rough edges. He thrives in open space, he's deadly in transition, and he's more than capable of running second-unit offense or playing off Steph in staggered minutes. And don't overlook his ability to elevate in big moments. That's not just fluff. The guy has playoff production. He's not afraid of the spotlight. You think about the identity Golden State's trying to maintain: toughness, swagger, high IQ basketball. Monk fits that mold. And unlike Kuminga, he doesn't require a full system redesign to get the most out of his skill set. Plug him in and let him cook. Now about that pick. Look, draft assets matter, especially for a team like the Warriors that's trying to be competitive now while still having something to work with in the future. An unprotected first-round pick from the Kings? That's a potential gold mine. Not because Sacramento is a bad team, but because the NBA is volatile. A lot can change in 5 years. Injuries, trades, cap issues, they all add up. That pick could easily turn into a top 10 selection, depending on how things shake out. And in a league where every draft is loaded with potential stars, having a ticket to that lottery could mean the difference between staying relevant or falling off a cliff. But here's where things start getting complicated again. The Warriors aren't just negotiating with another team. They're negotiating with themselves. Joe Lacob wants to keep the team competitive without ballooning the payroll. Mike Dunleavy Jr. is trying to establish himself as a smart, forward-thinking executive. Steve Kerr is trying to win now. And Steph? He just wants one more shot. When those agendas don't align, you get gridlock. That's where Golden State has been stuck. They know that Kuminga is valuable, but they also know he's not what they need right now. They know Monk is a fit, but they're scared of losing leverage. And in the middle of it all, you've got an agent who's torched bridges and a player who may be trying to strong-arm his way into a payday he hasn't earned. Aaron Turner's handling of this entire ordeal has been bizarre. Instead of quietly working behind the scenes, he's taken a confrontational stance, getting into it with fans on social media, making vague threats about the qualifying offer, denying contract figures that multiple sources have confirmed. None of it helps Kuminga. If anything, it makes the Warriors dig in deeper. They see the chaos and think, why would we give this guy more money or more years than we have to? That's not how you play poker with a front office that's been through dynasties and resets. And now the very thing they thought would increase their bargaining power, threatening to take the qualifying offer, is turning into a massive liability. Let's talk about that qualifying offer for a second. If Kuminga signs it, he's betting on himself, sure. But he's also walking away from more than $14 million this season alone. That's not a small amount, especially not for a player who has yet to lock in a consistent role. And on top of that, he'd be heading into unrestricted free agency next summer with no guarantees. The Warriors wouldn't be obligated to bring him back. Other teams might hesitate to give him big money if he underwhelms again. And if he gets hurt, game over. No more leverage. No more long-term deal. That's a massive risk. It makes you wonder, who's advising this kid? It's also worth noting that Golden State's offer, flawed as it is still gives Kuminga a pathway to prove himself. 2 years, $45 million, with a team option in the second year. That's not a slap in the face. That's a prove-it deal with real money on the table. If he balls out, he forces their hand and gets the bag. Whispers have begun circulating across the basketball world as murmurs emerge regarding the potential impact of De'Anthony Melton joining the Golden State Warriors, sparking conversations that extend beyond mere speculation and into the realm of serious anticipation. Sources close to the organization have hinted that the move, while still technically pending official confirmation, could mark a pivotal moment for the franchise, blending Melton's dynamic versatility with the Warriors' already potent defensive arsenal. The speculation revolves not only around the immediate boost to the team's backcourt depth, but also the strategic flexibility that Melton could provide in high-pressure situations. Analysts have been dissecting potential lineups, imagining Melton alongside established stars, and pondering how his defensive acumen might alter the trajectory of late-game scenarios. Fans, social media platforms, and insider reports are abuzz with conjecture, suggesting that Melton's arrival could influence everything from rotational patterns to playoff strategies. Even casual observers have begun forming opinions, projecting a heightened level of intensity and athleticism that might complement the Warriors' signature ball movement and spacing. This swirling rumor, whether fully grounded in imminent reality or part of an orchestrated narrative, has already begun to reshape expectations and conversations surrounding the team's approach to the upcoming season, with every expert weighing in on the potential ramifications and the broader storylines at play in Golden State's evolving roster landscape. The mere suggestion of Melton donning a Warriors uniform has become a focal point of discourse that refuses to be ignored. Reports circulating within NBA circles suggest that De'Anthony Melton's potential signing with the Golden State Warriors could ignite a dramatic shift in the team's strategic landscape, prompting coaches, analysts, and insiders to speculate on a series of cascading effects that might redefine the organization's approach to both offense and defense. While official statements remain elusive, the chatter implies that Melton's skill set, particularly his ability to guard multiple positions and contribute as a secondary ball handler, could seamlessly integrate into the Warriors' fast-paced, motion-oriented offense, creating new possibilities for lineup experimentation and rotation optimization. Observers have begun mapping hypothetical scenarios in which Melton's presence allows for enhanced spacing, quicker transitions, and greater defensive versatility, all of which could become pivotal during playoff matchups against elite opponents. Additionally, insiders hint at the intangible qualities he might bring, including locker room energy, leadership potential, and adaptability under pressure, suggesting that his integration could extend beyond pure statistics into areas that influence team cohesion and morale. The rumor mill has even sparked debates about the timing of the acquisition, whether it might coincide with contract negotiations, trade considerations, or broader roster reshuffles, underscoring the layers of complexity that accompany such moves in professional sports. Enthusiasts, bloggers, and pundits alike have latched onto this possibility, crafting narratives that explore every conceivable angle, from tactical advantages to cultural fit, demonstrating that the mere prospect of Melton joining the Warriors has already become a central topic of intrigue and anticipation, shaping expectations even before any official confirmation materializes. Speculation regarding De'Anthony Melton's rumored addition to the Golden State Warriors roster has taken on a life of its own, with discussions spreading through media outlets, fan forums, and social networks, suggesting a seismic ripple effect that could extend across the league if the deal comes to fruition. Analysts have been busy dissecting Melton's historical performance metrics, defensive efficiency, and offensive versatility, projecting how these attributes could influence the Warriors' rotation patterns, particularly in high-stakes playoff encounters. Conversations have extended beyond the numbers, focusing on intangible factors such as Melton's reported work ethic, adaptability, and potential chemistry with established stars, which some insiders suggest could either catalyze team synergy or necessitate a recalibration of existing hierarchies within the squad. Rumors hint that front office strategists are weighing scenarios that could involve strategic rest periods for key players rotational tweaks, or even adjustments to offensive schemes to maximize Melton's effectiveness. Social media has amplified every nugget of speculation, with fans dissecting highlight reels, previous game performances, and potential matchups to predict the tangible impact of his arrival, often blending empirical analysis with hopeful conjecture. Even rival teams are reportedly monitoring the situation closely, recognizing that Melton's addition, should it occur, could alter competitive dynamics and necessitate tactical recalibrations. The rumor, while unconfirmed, has created a pervasive buzz that merges analytical reasoning with narrative imagination, demonstrating how a single potential acquisition can dominate discourse, shape public perception, and generate a heightened sense of expectation that resonates across multiple layers of the professional basketball ecosystem, further amplifying the mystique surrounding Golden State's off-season maneuvers. Insiders hint that De'Anthony Melton joining the Golden State Warriors could have ripple effects far beyond immediate on-court performance, sparking intricate speculation about the team's broader strategic and psychological posture as they approach the next season. The buzz centers on Melton's reputed defensive prowess, perimeter shooting potential, and capacity to complement the Warriors' well-known motion-heavy offense, raising questions about how his presence might allow coaching staff to experiment with unconventional lineups and matchup-specific strategies that could disrupt conventional expectations. Analysts posit that integrating Melton might provide opportunities for greater rotational flexibility, enabling rest for core players without sacrificing intensity or cohesion, a possibility that could be critical during grueling playoff stretches. Additionally, the rumor fuels discourse about the Warriors' long-term vision, suggesting that Melton might serve as a bridge between current stars and emerging talent, creating a dynamic that blends experience with youthful energy, potentially enhancing team morale and locker room chemistry. Observers have been constructing detailed scenarios, imagining how Melton's skill set could be leveraged in late-game situations, two-way defensive schemes, and high-tempo transitions, generating a narrative that straddles statistical evaluation and imaginative projection. Social media chatter reflects a mixture of hope, skepticism, and strategic analysis, underscoring the multifaceted impact that rumors of Melton's acquisition have on fans, pundits, and competitors alike, reinforcing the notion that his potential addition is already reshaping the discourse around the Warriors' future trajectory. Stay updated exclusively with the latest Dub Nation news. Subscribe to our channel and hit the like button to keep getting daily updates on the Warriors. Don't forget to share your thoughts in the comments. Your input is essential for the Dubs community. Stay tuned for the next video.